Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday, the 9th of October. Reading through 1 Kings, we get to the point of the division of the kingdom in chapter 12. Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, takes over. People appeal to him to ease the financial burden that is laid upon them. He follows the advice of his young friends and he says, no, I'm going to make it worse. So the 10 northern tribes say, well, then we don't recognize you as king, and they leave. And instead they make Jeroboam king of the northern tribes. And it is just Judah and Benjamin that fall under Solomon's son. Jeroboam in the north recognizes if people keep going to Jerusalem to worship, the chances are they're going to come back under the sway of Rehoboam, son of Solomon, and Jeroboam is going to lose the kingdom. So he consults people and comes up with an idea. And told in verse 28, after seeking advice, the king made 2 golden calves. He said to the people, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Here are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt. One he set up in Bethel and the other in Dan. And this thing became a sin. The people even went as far as Dan to worship the one there. So he sets up these 2 idols, claims that these represent God, who brought them out of Egypt, and the people go to worship there. And as I read that, I thought, here is a very clear indication of somebody recognizing the power of religion in politics. And nothing has changed. We see that in the world writ large all the time. One certainly looks back at South Africa and sees the way that the old National Party tried to leverage Christian faith to support and prop up and undergird the policy of apartheid, which we know was completely wrong. It was heretical. But we see it in the world today. The politics in America, there's a huge draw on religion to wield political power. The conflict in the Ukraine, the Russians have got the Russian Orthodox Church supporting, encouraging, and blessing them in what they're doing. They recognize the power of religion in politics. And one looks at the current conflict in the Middle East of Israel and Hamas, and you think they use religious terminology, but I suspect if you look closely, it's all politics and power. It's got very little to do with the actual faith. And so it's something that I think we need to be careful of. As Christians, we need to recognize that religion does have influence and power. And we need to hold on to that and say, we have influence, there is power, and you have to guard it. We have to be particularly careful when anybody sprouts religious-sounding words in political contexts. We have to be treated with a great deal of skepticism when people start quoting the Bible and they're talking politics. It's not that the Bible's devoid or doesn't say anything about politics. It does, and it speaks quite strongly and forcefully about politics. But we always need to be very, very careful. Because it is so powerful, people will take it and misuse it for their own advantage. And this is sort of echoed in the second reading we have today, with Paul's letter to the Philippians in chapter 3, where he says to the Philippians, finally, my brothers and sisters, rejoice in the Lord. It is no trouble for me to write the same thing to you again, and it is a safeguard for you. And as I read that, I thought, we have a safeguard in the Scriptures for our faith. And so as we go through life, and as we guide our faith, we always use the safeguards we have in the Word of God to hold us and to guide us. So we hang on to that and treat the political world with a great deal of skepticism, and we listen very carefully and discerningly to what is said. Be challenged by that. Be encouraged that we have a safeguard and know that we're blessed.